This week, a lot of you were getting seriously invested in a rumor that Ryan Reynolds could appear in Zack Snyder's Justice League. So we thought it'd be fun to make a video that tackles that and some other rumors floating around about the upcoming project. Hey everyone, I'm Hannah Saulic, the video team manager here at CinemaBlend, and of course, I'm here with Sean O'Connell, our managing director and resident Snyder Cut expert. Hi, Sean.
Hi, Hannah.
Hi.
Okay, so here's how this is gonna work. Basically, I'm gonna preface each rumor, and then Sean, you can expand on it, give your perspective on whether or not you think it could be true, and all that fun stuff.
Sounds good. And I want to say off the bat, like, I know nothing. I'm speculating like most of you guys, but I think it's informed speculation, which puts me a little bit further ahead of everybody else.
All right, so let's start with this Ryan Reynolds thing, because this is what most people are talking about this week, that honestly, when I saw it, made me laugh and roll my eyes, and I thought nothing about it. And then I kept seeing headlines that were saying it was serious. So for those who don't know what's going on, I will throw the tweet up here in post. But basically, Ryan Reynolds tweeted that he was not going to be in Black Adam, but he wanted to be involved in Zack Snyder's Justice League, and maybe already was. Sean?
Yeah, all right. I'm glad we're starting with this one first, because this is, on almost every level, really ridiculous. But yet, there are enough things that have happened that I kind of a little bit sort of understand why people think that this might be true.
What?
Yeah.
You sort of, okay.
Just a little bit. Because at Brazil Comic-Con, when Ryan Reynolds was plugging Six Underground, which is the Michael Bay movie that he did, he set up this whole panel about, like, this is the movie that we're making and it's filled with all these explosives, and then he ended the setup of what the movie is with basically it's the Snyder Cut. And he was playing to the audience. He was at Brazil Comic-Con. Like, he said it as a joke, and the place went crazy because back when he did this, the Snyder Cut wasn't official and wasn't coming, and he was just leaning into the lunacy that was the release of Snyder Cut campaign.
Oh, I'm going to hell.
So, long story short, the fans really do believe, and this may be a thing, that Green Lantern is going to be in Zack Snyder's Justice League. This dates back when they used the campaign slogan, Unite the Seven, which showed Jason Momoa as Aquaman, and if you look at the 7 members of the Justice League, the 7th member would be Green Lantern. There was a Green Lantern sighting in the theatrical cut of Justice League, but it was during the history lesson where they showed a Green Lantern, but not Hal Jordan. And of course, Ryan Reynolds did play Green Lantern in a Green Lantern movie. He played Hal Jordan.
Wow. I know, right?
So you can connect some dots, but Ryan Reynolds looks at his Green Lantern movie as a huge mistake that he made. Like, it's a total blemish on his resume. Like, to the point where in the end credits sequence of Deadpool 2, Deadpool shoots Ryan Reynolds through the head to stop him from being in Green Lantern. Like, he will never be Green Lantern again.
You're welcome, Canada.
Okay, so all of that put aside, this is just not how things happen in Hollywood. Like, I know that everyone says, like, oh, but everyone said the Snyder Cut wouldn't happen, right? But there was like a possibility, at least, that the Snyder Cut could have one day become something that we got to see. There was a thread of realistic hope. Like, huge studio people like Ryan Reynolds don't just step into cameo roles in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Also, that movie doesn't even exist in any kind of DCEU connection at all. Like, it's so far removed from what they're doing now that bringing Ryan Reynolds in would require the introduction of some type of multiverse, and just like rule bending that they won't do it. Like, they just won't do it. And so the people who are holding on to, like, yeah, but it's possible. Well, sure, it's possible, but, like, that's fan fiction. It's fan fiction. It's stuff that you would write on a Reddit thread. And so while I will hold out the thinnest sliver of, well, sure, weirder things have happened, but actually I don't know if weirder things have happened. Like, I think that would be about as weird as it gets to see.
Well, totally, too. Like, if you said that Ryan Reynolds was going to appear in, like, the theatrical cut of Justice League, where, like, Joss Whedon was, like, trying to make it funny, sure, but I don't think Zack Snyder's Justice League is trying to be that meta.
Not at all.
Don't count on it, Batman.
I actually do believe we're going to see a Green Lantern at some point in Zack Snyder's Justice League when it hits HBO Max, but I'm willing to bet the farm right now on August, whatever day this is, that it's not going to be Ryan Reynolds.
Well, so that's actually one of the other rumors that was on this list, is basically just that different Green Lanterns could show up. So you're going on the record saying that could be true.
Yes, I think that rumor is true. And I think that Zack had post-production plans to show some form of a Green Lantern. I don't know where. There are some rumors that even said a Green Lantern shows up in the final battle against Steppenwolf, where a resurrected Superman is together with the team. They need additional help, and a Green Lantern shows up. I'm not quite sure if Zack has the ability to finish all of that in post-production, or if that was even part of his plan. It might also be that a Green Lantern just shows up in Zack's version of the history lesson, which is going to be a little bit more extensive than what we got in theatrical cut. So yeah, I believe that Green Lantern is going to show up. But at the time, you got to remember, Zack was directing a Justice League movie that was going to be setting up a whole slew of other films back in 2017, and one of those films was supposed to be a Green Lantern Corps film that was dated for 2020 release. His movie currently doesn't have to do that anymore, so Zack, in the course of doing his post-production and getting Justice League ready for HBO Max, might remove that because he doesn't have to tease a Green Lantern Corps movie anymore. But I think he's excited about getting the Green Lanterns introduced into his universe, even if he can't expand on it.
I dig it.
So this brings up something else that I'm going to kind of jump around to. So originally, the rumor is that Zack Snyder's Justice League has a lot of elements that sort of set up what would have been Ben Affleck's Batman movie. And one of those things was a end credit scene with Deathstroke. What do you think about any of that? Do you think they'll have even more ties to a solo Batfleck film, or do you think that he's just going to abandon all that?
That's a great question because of the way things have changed over the years from when this movie was supposed to come out. Like, when it was going to come out in 2017, it definitely would have fed into Ben Affleck's solo Batman movie. So there would have been some direct ties, and Joe Manganiello would have shown up as Deathstroke.
Manganiello.
Manganiello.
I looked it up.
Joe Manganiello?
Manganiello.
Joe, I'm very sorry.
People in the comments can yell at me if I'm wrong.
I am the breaker of names, actually.
You are, so this tracks.
That does track, for sure.
Jesus.
He would have shown up and would have been a main component of Ben Affleck's Batman, according to rumors that we have heard of the script that Ben wanted to do. Now, however, because we are in this place where Zack's movie, again, doesn't have to set up these other movies and can exist as its own thing, Zack may still feel like it would be cool to put those teases in, and I would assume that he has the footage shot because he was going to use those things. So theatrical cut ends with a post-credit sequence of Deathstroke coming up onto a yacht, and he meets with Lex Luthor. That may still be the scene that they were going to set up, or we could see Deathstroke meeting up with Ben Affleck's Batman somehow, or setting up some type of tease that was going to go in that direction. It's one of the biggest questions that we really do have about Zack Snyder's Justice League that's coming to HBO Max is, how is it going to end? Is there going to be a cliffhanger that was supposed to set up an additional Justice League film, or is Zack using his time right now to bring some type of closure instead to the storyline that he was originally going to have left dangling? It's fascinating in the fact that we're sort of removing a film that was supposed to be dropped in 2017, showing it in 2021, but some of those weird plot elements are still kind of going to exist, but they're setting up movies that we might not see anymore.
Weird. In so many ways.
However, they could be setting up movies that we might see, because if this works on HBO Max, and HBO Max says to Snyder, hey, keep doing some more of this, then you might get a Ray Fisher Cyborg story, or you may get Ezra Miller's Flash movie is going to go to theaters for sure, as far as we know.
If theaters are still a thing.
Have you guys seen what's going on outside?
Exactly. And of course, there's the rumor, and maybe this is one we're going to talk about a little bit down the line, that Ben Affleck might want to come back for Batman. Now, I don't know. No one knows at this point. But dude's getting in great shape. I mean, in quarantine, all the rest of us, we're letting ourselves go. He looks better than he did in 2017. Now, could he be getting in shape for more Batman adventures? I don't know. No one knows.
What do you think, though?
I think he might want to do something on HBO Max. I think if he was given the opportunity to do his Batman in a universe that's not connected to anything else, because he loved the idea, and he even said in an interview, now he said in an interview somewhat recently that the process of doing those movies essentially drove him to drink. Like, it was so difficult, It contributed to his alcoholism. He needed to get out of that situation.
The human being can only absorb so much.
He wasn't clear exactly about what he meant, but I think he was referring to, personally, all the different influences that were coming from studios, producers who were sort of driving his vision to be something that they wanted to be versus what he wanted it to be.
We didn't hit it off.
If he's given some more creative freedom to do his own Batman thing, and I'm wearing my Batman shirt for that reason, on HBO Max, and it's a one-time shot, like just come back, do one movie, and be done with it, or even a 3-part series, or something that the freedom of being on a streaming service lends himself to, yeah, I think he would do it. Because I honestly think he really enjoyed playing Batman, and I think he wanted to tell that story, and he moved on, but I could see him coming back to it. And in a world where we have stories of like Michael Keaton returning to the role, you know, in strange multiverse Flashpoint type stories, I don't think anything's impossible, and I'd be willing to bet more on Ben Affleck getting announced for a Batman project than I ever would Ryan Reynolds is going to be Green Lantern again. So,
well, yeah.
we shall see. We shall see.
I don't know if you saw, but Joe Manganiello, now I forgot how to say it. Whatever.
Joey
M.
Joey M.
He did tweet something that, again, I will throw up in post, but he said the original end credit scene, ... and it has a bat in it and his 2 swords. So if that sets something up, that could be very interesting.
Well, and Ben Affleck years ago tweeted test footage of Deathstroke in the suit. So these two were going to collaborate. Like, that was going to be a thing. And I don't know. We may still see, but like, does Zack Snyder's Justice League on HBO Max even have a post-credit scene? Like, if it's a series, it might not have a post-credit scene. Or maybe
he'll be peer pressured by Joey.
Joey M. Hey, Zach, put me in. I don't know. It could also be a segment that gets moved more into the middle of the story. Like, Zach has the ability to not, if he's not teasing things out anymore, he could incorporate it into a different segment. So a lot of stuff is up in the air right now in terms of how he's approaching this. And he said during Justice Con that we should have both the title of the project during DC Fandom, and he will answer whether it's going to be a movie or a television series. And so a lot of this is going to get clarified on August 22nd.
And we won't even talk about the movie versus TV series thing, because we'll find out soon enough. But speaking of Deathstroke and villains, there's a rumor that Zack Snyder's Justice League has a lot more Lex Luthor, because in the theatrical cut, he was just in the end credit scene, like you said. So what do you think about that?
I don't know if I'm going to say a lot more. I'd be willing to bet that there is some, but I think there's too much other stuff going on. Like, I think the template of the story will somewhat mirror what we saw in theatrical cut. It's just going to breathe more. It's going to be expanded more. So you're still going to get Steppenwolf coming to Earth to get the mother boxes, the 3 mother boxes. You're still going to get the team having to be united. There might be references to Lex Luthor, but he's essentially in prison. He's been in prison since BVS. I don't think you're going to see like a jailbreak or anything.
Okay, I was going to say, so somebody on YouTube asked about a jailbreak scene in Arkham with Deathstroke breaking Lex out, and then somehow also maybe the Joker's involved.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening.
That sounds like a lot.
It sounds like a lot, and it sounds like too much for this movie. And so, no, I'm going to say no. I don't think those rumors are accurate. I think that's fan casting or hopeful fan wishing on stuff that movie didn't want to do.
Hello, break the bad news.
All right, let's move on to Superman's return. So a lot of people are saying that it will happen much, much earlier in the movie, and some are even saying that he's going to be resurrected by Darkseid.
No, I don't think that's true at all. I'm going to say that rumor is false. Because when we went to the Justice League set in 2016, in July 2016, Zack did map out his story, his intention for the story. And again, I don't think he can make a lot of changes to this. He can make some, but structurally, he has to rely on everything that he filmed. And I know that the bulk of the Justice League story that he was going to tell in this film was absent Superman. It is largely Batman and Wonder Woman trying to put the team together, and it's them recruiting Ezra Miller's Flash and trying to convince Jason Momoa's Aquaman to play along because there's a bigger threat coming. And there's a huge story involving Ray Fisher's Cyborg and his initial human appearance as Victor Stone, and seeing him as a football player and seeing him with his family, and a lot of stuff at Star Labs that will lead to him being turned into Cyborg, essentially. All of that was really truncated in the theatrical cut, and Ray Fisher got shortchanged by all this.
He was barely in it.
Yeah, he's barely in it, and Zack has called him the heart of his cut. Like, you're going to see a lot more Cyborg.
Booyah.
That does not mean you're going to see a lot more Superman. I still think Zack's plan for Superman was to bring him back third act kind of thing, and the resurrection won't have anything to do with Darkseid. I think the resurrection's still going to be pretty similar to how they do it in theatrical. It might just make a little bit more sense the way that Zack lets it play out, because it's really fast in the theatrical cut. But when you look at the footage that Zack showed in his trailers, you can see some of those elements pulled from Superman's resurrection scene. And we hammered Zack on the set in 2016 about Superman questions, and he would not break. We were like, they still were playing in 2016. They were playing, is he even in it? You know, we don't know. He was dead last time we saw him. And you know, it's a cute game.
Well, that was fun while it didn't last.
But we do know, because Zack shared this clip during JusticeCon, that when he does come back, he will be wearing the black suit. We have a video on our YouTube page you guys can go check out to talk about why the black suit is relevant. And to build on that a little bit more, I know Zack has said over the years that there are going to be fight sequences with Henry in the black suit, and I think he might even wear the black suit during the entire final confrontation with Steppenwolf. I might be wrong, but I think that's what we're going to get to see.
All right, next rumor is that Aquaman has a different ending scene. Do you know any details about that?
Yeah, so, and again, this falls into when this movie was supposed to come out. Jason Momoa is supposed to go off at the end of this film and say, look, I'm going to go back home and talk to my father, basically, and I'm going to Atlantis for the very first time, and that was going to lead into James Wan's Aquaman movie. And they didn't allow that to get shot. And if you look at the last shot of Aquaman in the theatrical cut, it's horribly, it's a bad CGI Aquaman doing like dolphin jumps as he swims through the ocean, and it's just embarrassingly bad.
Oof.
And then they have to put a bad reshot scene into James Wan's Aquaman film where Mera essentially recruits him as he's coming out of a bar one night. But none of that is supposed to be in Aquaman. They had to refilm all that stuff because they weren't able to set him up the right way that he does in Zack's movie. Now, that might be one of the things that Zack ends up changing, because why would you have Aquaman at the end of this Justice League movie saying, like, I'm gonna go see my father? Because then it's like teasing a movie that we've already seen.
Right.
So do you give Zack a pass and just say, like, all right, I understand why you're including this scene. It's weird that it's setting up a movie that we've seen already, but you can't really go back and refilm something. Or can he? Like, Momoa's always around. Him and Snyder.
I feel like he'd be pretty excited to
take his shirt off and jump in the water. Yeah, very possible. It's very possible. But again, we're dealing with COVID and the amount of stuff that Zack may or may not be able to shoot. So that remains a huge mystery. But I'm going to go on record as saying I don't think the final scene that Jason was supposed to have in Zack Snyder's Justice League, where he swims off and leads himself into his Aquaman movie, is gonna be what we see in this one. I bet Zack and Jason come up with something different.
Okay, so what about this rumor that Kevin Costner is gonna get a scene?
Ooh, yes. Okay, that's an exciting one, and I think that is true. I think that will happen because so Kevin Costner obviously plays Jonathan Kent. He has had scenes with Henry in both Man of Steel and BVS that are back from the dead, kind of moving this man along on his emotional journey. And whenever Superman sort of needs a pick-me-up or a point me in the right direction, he sees Jonathan Kent. And in BVS, it was on top of a snowy mountain. The rumor for Zack's Justice League is that it's going to take place when, right after Superman has been resurrected, he goes back to the Kent farm. And this is before Lois Lane sees him in the cornfield, that he'll have a conversation with Jonathan Kent in the cornfield, where Kevin Costner will be able to deliver this final, third part of these of a sort of mentor trilogy conversation things. And but we have not seen any sort of photographic evidence that Costner has ever been on the Justice League set. So but that could be Well, yeah, right. And a lot of that, I think, is because they're protecting anything that involved Henry and Superman in terms of what shows up in Justice League. There was a scene where Clark Kent is in the cornfield and he sees Lois, and it concludes, the conversation ends with him saying, "I'll take that as a yes." But we don't know. I think that him saying that is a conclusion to something that Jonathan asks him, and then he like turns but says it to Lois. And again, I might be projecting here, but I think that's true. I think that's true that Jonathan Kent, Kevin Costner, is absolutely going to be in Justice League, that it'll take place in that moment. He'll be a resurrected Superman. He'll have returned to Kansas. He'll be in the cornfield. He'll see his adopted father, and then he'll turn and see Lois and his mom, and that's how that'll play out.
All right, what about this rumor that there will be time travel?
Oh, yeah, no, that's happening. That is definitely happening.
Oh, it's on.
On February 14th of 2020, Zack showed a still, and it said, like, Happy 214 Day, and that was a suggestion to the runtime being 214 minutes. And so the culmination of theatrical cut, all right, let's get really nerdy.
I'm in.
The way that the theatrical cut ends is essentially Cyborg, with Superman's help, separating the three mother boxes. But there is a shot in Zack Snyder's trailer that suggests that there was a different way that they separated the mother boxes in order to officially defeat Steppenwolf, and it involves Flash running similar to what you see in the theatrical cut when he resurrects Superman, but running as fast as he can to generate enough energy to separate the mother boxes. And in order to do so, and the reason, the shot that people see in the trailer is Flash running at full speed through the village, which is the location of the final confrontation. So when people see that shot, they're like, okay, well, there's Flash running as fast as he can. And why would they show him running through that town when there's no other point in the theatrical cut where we see Flash running that quickly through a town that looks like that? So the still that Zack shared on 214 was Flash running past another Flash during a moment when he was rescuing people from Star Labs. And that scene is in the movie. And it's kind of when Batman says to Flash,
Save one.
So it's Flash saving the people from Star Labs and another Flash running past him. Now, we have seen time travel in BVS, which is when Bruce Wayne wakes up in his lab and Flash is saying, oh my gosh, I'm too soon. And he tries to send a message to him.
Lois Lane! She's the key!
So we know that he can run through time. He can run so fast that he's basically traveling through time. I think you're going to see a moment in Zack Snyder's Justice League where Flash runs so quickly that he goes through the events of the movie or television series that we've seen up until that point. And so you will see Flash traveling through time to generate enough speed to potentially separate the mother boxes in the final sequence. And it won't be something so blunt and stupid as Cyborg and Superman pulling them apart.
I want to die.
It'll actually be an amazing time travel sequence that shows Flash living up to his potential and doing cool stuff on screen, because poor Ezra Miller, again, also got shortchanged by the theatrical cut and had to say to Batman, like,
I've never done battle. I've just pushed some people and run away.
Like, no, you can travel through time and you have amazing powers, and we're finally going to see them realized.
Okay, so the final rumor that we're going to go through is that there will be a Knightmare scene with Darkseid, or multiple Knightmare scenes.
Well, there's definitely going to be another Knightmare scene, because Zack has been teasing that. And why wouldn't you go back to that reality? So that was Ben Affleck falling asleep at his terminal in BVS and seeing the potential of what's going to happen to the world should Darkseid take over. And I have heard rumors that the Knightmare scene in Justice League will be seen through the eyes of Cyborg, because he is essentially created by a mother box, which is going to have him have a direct connection to Darkseid. Now, we might see Darkseid in this. I don't think you'll see Darkseid until the end of this movie, but I think Cyborg is going to be the one triggering the Knightmare sequence in Justice League. It'll be because he's essentially created by mother boxes, and that will help him help convince him to join the fight, because much like Bruce got a vision of the Knightmare sequence in BVS, Cyborg will see it in this movie. He'll come to the team. He'll say, hey, look, things are going to get really, really bad if we don't join forces and stop what's coming, and then we'll sort of go from there.
Let's do it.
All right, well, that's all the main rumors that I have written down. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you want to address?
That's all of it, except for the length, the runtime. There's a lot of people still sort of banding about is it still going to be the 214 minutes? It's not. It's going to be longer. And Zack has said this. He said it at JusticeCon. He's like, hey, it's not 214 anymore. I'm adding more stuff to it. There's not just reshoots, but additional photography. We don't know how long it's going to be. We're going to find out a fandom whether it's going to be a movie or a television series. I think series, which means that Zack is going to sort of expand his vision, and so it's no longer 214, it's more, and we trust in Zack Snyder to see what he delivers.
All right, well, if you're watching, I challenge you guys to make an actual bet with Sean in the comments about whether it'll be a movie or a TV series.
TV series, that's what I hope too. I like to see.
That'd be very cool.
That'd be cool.
All right, so let us know in the comments which rumor you guys hope ends up being true, or which rumors you guys hope end up being true. And don't forget to hit subscribe, because we are making a new Snyder Cut related video every single week. So also feel free to give us suggestions on topics to cover.